haven't really played it much since. So it's safe to say I've never beat the game, and there's still so much I don't know about it. So we're gonna spend 100 days in survival, and we're gonna try and beat the game. We're gonna fight the Ender Dragon, the Wither, and possibly the Warden. We'll see. As badly as I wanted to do this in hardcore, let's be honest, I'm just really bad at the game, and I dive way too many times. So yeah, we'll save hardcore for next video. And with all that said, sit back, relax, and enjoy the video. Day 1. I spawned in and immediately hated my world. Relatable, right? But let me just say, this was one of the best seeds I could have gotten. You'll find out why soon enough. So as you do on your first day, I started gathering some wood. And here's me failing at making planks. I don't know what I was thinking. But anyway, I got my planks, and then I made a crafting table. And then it was time to start making some tools. So got some sticks. Started off with a wooden axe, a wooden pickaxe, and then I started chopping more trees, but I was too short to grab this one, and honestly, I didn't even think about going up to it. You guys are just gonna have to bear with me. I'm warming up to this. Things get better, I promise. And then I had the bright idea of making a stone pickaxe. At first glance, the only good thing I saw about this world was there was coal everywhere. So I mined it, and I mined all of it. I found a little bit of iron too, but it was mostly coal. Then made a stone axe, packed my bags, and decided it was time to start our journey into the unknown. Luckily, everything was pretty much ice, so I could just run my way over, didn't have to swim. And I didn't go far. I found an island over here with some berries. Honestly, I didn't know what these were for at the time. And, actually, I don't think I still don't. So they were my downfall. So I went one more island over, and I found a chicken. And I was starving at this point. So I sacrificed the chicken and took its meat. Found chicken number 2, and moments later, I found another portal. Well, a broken one anyway. So I ran over, quickly made a furnace so I could start cooking the chicken, and then I went and checked out the chest. And it had golden armor. It wasn't golden, but it was enchanted. At this point, I thought I'd be leaving, so I just grabbed my stuff and started exploring the rest of the island. And I found some pretty cool stuff, like this thing, but it started getting pretty late, and I still didn't have any shelter yet. I went to the tallest part of the island, which wasn't very tall. I found a couple more chickens along the way, and when I got to the top, I started making some torches with all that coal I gathered earlier. And because I didn't have any shelter yet, I decided to be productive and just cut down some trees. It was going to be a long night. And while I was cutting my trees, this guy just randomly walks up to me. This was my first encounter with a mob, in this world anyway. So I took a couple swings at him and managed to kill him. And I tried to chop down some more trees, but unfortunately, he wasn't the only one that wanted to fight. In fact, I almost died fighting this skeleton. He put up a good fight, and now my health was extremely low, and it didn't help that I kept falling from trees. Here's the point where I realized I never put on the armor. So I quickly threw it on, fought off these zombies, and I started racking up some good XP from this. But now that I had some iron, I went ahead and made a shield, along with my first piece of iron armor, the helmet, because that's all I could really make. And I was so glad to have this because it was going to make surviving the night just a little bit easier. So I found a couple sheep, but none of them were the same color. I couldn't even get to this sheep because of all the mobs had just started attacking me out of nowhere. So I left. And fortunately, it was almost daylight, so I wouldn't have to deal with them much longer. I ended up going back during the day to try and free the sheep. I say free the sheep, but I just killed it. Anyway, I left the island because there were pretty much no more animals over there. And the next island I went to had some sheep, but again, they weren't the same color. I grabbed this sugar cane and continued exploring, just trying to find as many animals as I could. I needed 3 wool of the same color to make a bed. And I was really starting to think this was never going to happen because I just wasn't finding any more sheep. Until I saw this guy. So I grabbed this wool, went around the corner, and sure enough, there's sheep everywhere. Enough sheep to make a bed, maybe even 2. I continued exploring, and I ended up making friends with this guy. I mean, just look at him. I then proceeded to take out every other animal in my path because I needed food. What I had wasn't going to last forever, and with the animal situation on the other islands, I knew I couldn't pass this up. Do you guys see that? Yeah, that's a village. and I totally missed it. It could have really helped me out early game with the food situation, but I didn't see it. So I continued exploring this tiny cave and decided to settle down in here for the night. The next day, I woke up and found some pumpkins not too far from where I was. I also came across another dog/wolf thing and a pup. But the best thing I found was this huge hole in the ground, and when I saw the lava, I knew it was going to be a good place to mine. So I grabbed some of these emeralds that were outside and started making my way down. I found some coal too, and I started mining that until all of it just randomly disappeared. I don't know why. I figured sleeping would probably help with that, so that's what I did. Day 4, I decided to start venturing into the cave, mined some more coal, and had a very interesting encounter with a spider here. Lucky for me, he couldn't get me in this little hole, so I thought anyway. But yeah, I killed both of those guys and started setting up a little bit of a camp down here. That way I could cook all the meat I collected earlier and smelt some of the iron that I've mined. Once I had the iron bars, I went ahead and made myself an iron pickaxe and iron axe as well. I also found some gold while I was down here, and I knew I'd probably need that once I wanted to go into the nether. I set up a chest so that I could store all my junk in there and continue exploring the rest of the cave because I knew I was probably going to have tons of stuff by the time I came back up. And to complete my look, I made some iron boots. This is when I realized that the legs I put on earlier were binding. Yeah, I had no idea what that meant. So I made some iron legs, and then I tried to put them on, and I couldn't figure out why I couldn't put them on. I sat here for a solid 2 or 3 minutes trying to do this until I Googled it and found out that you can't take off binding items. So, lesson learned on that one. I thought I'd try and make some obsidian since I knew you needed lava and water. I stumbled across a mob spawner and immediately started getting swarmed by zombies. Oh, and my stone axe picked a great time to break here. So I just had to fist fight these guys and hope for the best. But I did okay. I managed to block myself off, and I made an iron axe so I could fight these guys until their child decided to come beat me up. That was the real challenge. I got a couple good swings in, and then he started playing games with me. I've never been beaten up by a child like this before. I guess there's a first for everything. So I quickly took out the mob spawner and checked the chest for loot. Got some gold bars and some bread and such. The other chest had some beetroot seeds and a golden apple. I then came across this bluish teal stuff, which I had no idea what it was. I started peeking in to see if I could see anything, and I saw this weird creature that was moving, and I thought it was some kind of new mob that I had never seen before. And I went down to check it out a little closer. Noticed it was making some weird noises, but didn't really think much of it. And I decided to mine it, see if it gave me anything. After fighting this spider, I went into this little room here, blocked myself off, and then found this. You couldn't believe how excited I was to find this. It was only 2, but it was a good start. I continued mining, and that's when this fella came out of nowhere. And I was terrified because I still didn't quite understand how the Enderman's mechanics worked. I didn't want to look anywhere near him. As soon as he passed me, I took off running the other direction, which actually led me to more diamonds. It also led me to more of this bluish teal stuff, which I was still so curious about. Took out this mob spawner and gathered the loot, which was a little bit better than the last one, and I continued running right past these things, not understanding why they were making noise. I saw some like blue fire in the distance, so I went to go check it out, and I guess I made a little bit too much noise because this happened. This thing just started shrieking and the lights went out, and I was so confused. I had no clue what was going on, what was about to happen. I was lost. So as one would do, I naturally backed up away from it, and everything seemed fine. It was back to normal. I found another one of these chests and looted it. I decided to go a different direction this time, and the same thing happened. They just started shrieking, the lights went dark, they flickered a couple times, but nothing else happened beyond that. So I wasn't really sure what was going on here. And stupid me, I went back a third time because I needed to know what was happening here. But this time, it was different. I heard something breaking through the ground, and it sounded like someone had just woken up the beast. Then it started sniffing and making all kinds of other weird noises. Keep in mind, I had no idea what I had gotten myself into here. I had only heard about the Deep Dark through a friend. I didn't know what it was about. I didn't know what it looked like. I just knew that whatever it was, this had to be it. So nothing was really happening yet, so I decided to go investigate a little further. The closer I got to it, the more it started to sniff, and then all of a sudden it turned around, locked eyes on me, and started coming down towards me. I blocked off the walkway so it couldn't get to me, and honestly, I thought it'd be like any other mob where I could just crouch walk up to it, start hitting it, and it wouldn't be able to touch me. I was wrong about that one. I got several good hits in before it turned to me and started to attack. The first hit got me down to about half health, and for some reason, I started going right back up to him. That second shot sent me back into the other room, and you can see the panic start to set in. I just started putting blocks down everywhere to put as much in between me and him as possible. Not that it would have done anything, clearly, but it seemed like a good idea at the time. I mean, look at this. You can almost tell my hand was shaking just from the way I'm like sorting through my inventory here. But yeah, dude, I was so scared. This was by far the scariest thing I've ever seen in Minecraft. All I could hear was his heartbeat and his breathing, and it sounded like he was right on the other side of the wall from me. He wasn't though, because he couldn't make it through that hallway. But once I settled down, I ran away as fast as I could. By this point, it was day 5, so I did a little bit more mining in the cave and almost died a few more times. I actually got pretty lucky and found some more diamonds and a mob spawner with some chests. So I looted all of that and got out of the cave as quick as I could. On my way back home, I encountered my next challenge, the snow. And it certainly didn't help that I had a creeper chasing me. But yeah, it turns out you need leather boots, otherwise you can sink straight down to the bottom of the snow. I didn't want to die, so I just started digging my way through the hills, hoping I would eventually reach grass or dirt, and I could just walk the rest of the way home peacefully. It didn't seem like I was making much progress, so I pillared myself up high enough to have a look around. And yeah, I was pretty much surrounded by snow. And while I was up there, I decided this was the perfect time and place to make a diamond pickaxe. I spent most of day 6 digging myself out of the snow. Eventually, I made it back to the frozen water, and I wasn't really sure what direction to head. So I just kind of went this way and ended up finding some coal. I ended my day on top of this hill, which had an incredible view of the sunset. Day 7, I still had no clue where I was, but I did make myself a boat, which made being lost a lot more fun. Somehow I ended up back at the island I spent my first day on, and now that I had a diamond pickaxe, I figured I'd mine the extra obsidian and try to finish the nether portal. Once I had it built, I knew I needed flint and steel to actually get this thing lit. The only issue was, I didn't have any flint yet. So I went down to the shore and started digging up the gravel. It didn't take very long before I had my first flint. Took a break to start setting up camp here, so I put down 2 chests, that way I could free up some inventory space. I had 0 cobblestone, so I spent a little time mining some of that. That way I could put down some furnaces. While I was waiting on the iron, I decided to clear out the area. There were a lot of trees, and if I was going to build a house here, I needed space. And it's funny, I didn't actually end up building a house until like day 30, but the work was done. I didn't have to go back and do it. I had plenty of materials for pretty much anything I needed. And at the end of the day, I had tons of iron waiting for me. I started the next day crafting a new shield, a diamond sword, and some iron tools. And then I spent some more time clearing out the area, flattening out the terrain.